When Cheryl went with conservationist Matt Cook to the site of our Natur Ambith secret species, the fen orchid, she was taken aback by how this tiny wild flower grew in amongst an array of towering grasses who stood like guardians, protecting the fen. It was this that inspired the lyrics of our Guardians of the Fen. The tenor recorder music that you hear is notated by Cheryl from the leafy veins of the fen orchid itself. She then used this to compose our melody, bringing together our lament. Why a lament, you ask? Well, in the 1800s, orchid hunters travelled the globe to take these beautiful flowers back home for collectors. Literally thousands of orchids died on the long journey back, on ships, across oceans, and no consideration was made for what those plants might have meant to the communities from which they were taken. We want to learn from our past. Today there are still orchid hunters, but as residents of Swansea Bay we stand, like the tall grass, as guardians, campaigning to leave the wild fen orchid exactly where it is.
We've been on quite a journey with Cheryl, first watching a film about the fen and then learning the lament with Delith Holland, our choir leader, who arranged it for us so that we could sight read. Once Cheryl felt we were ready, we all went to her studio to record it. After recording, we had an exciting day trip to Pentlegare Valley Woods. Cheryl had written a storyboard for us and collaborated with drone pilot Jarrow Media for filming. We had a fabulous time. Then Cheryl edited everything together and we gathered to watch for final editorial approval. Today we are recording narration of the process to show you behind the scenes of our fen orchid lament and to share with you some of the feedback we've given on the journey, both in our weekly visitors book and recorded by Cheryl.
Yes, good time, lovely day, and very nice to be out together. Yes.
Great fun. It was a very good cause. Really pleased to be involved.
It was lovely to be here, and particularly in this beautiful part of the world, with this wonderful, and the nature everywhere. It's wonderful.
It's interesting to be involved in a different part of a sort of creative process. You know, I'm kind of used to doing singing, not so used to doing a recording, and certainly not so used to being filmed. I mean, normally you just sort of turn up and sort of smile and face the front, and that's about all you manage to do as a singer, and smiling sometimes is a bit the optional bit. So it's interesting to see the filming process.
Yes, it was a lovely day being out in the fresh air and with other companions. They're all very congenial and good-natured, and the weather was fantastic.
It's interesting because they're species that by their nature you don't really know they're there even when they are. So a tiny little fen orchid buried in a big damp field that you're really only going to be walking across if you've lost your football or you're looking for the fen orchid. You wouldn't know it's there, and so do you ever know it's not there? And it's a sort of strange, you don't know what you might have lost, which is another sort of sad dimension if you end up losing it.
The sad thing is a lot of species have been lost, and we don't know. And some are being lost at the moment, and we will never know, which is really sad, isn't it? Yeah. So what we can do to counteract that, the better, really.
Guardians of the hidden fen, we lament for way back then, taken from your homeland shore. Orchid fever be no more. Guardians of the fen, fragile child of nature's eye, we lament for times gone by.